There you go. Warriors beat the Pistons 115-110. These are obviously two really good teams. The Warriors, man, 9-1 in their last 10, the best record over their last 10, other than the Cleveland Cavaliers, who of course haven't lost since, I don't know, 2024.
Yeah. And look, I will say this. Going into the season, you would have said a win over the Pistons was not a quality win. then 2 months into the season, we're like, you know what? That's a good win against the Pistons. Now, I'll say this: it's a great win. Yeah. That's a great win if you beat that team, because they are so athletic on the perimeter, and they have a lot of swagger because of Cade Cunningham. That's a great win, man, to beat the Pistons. And for the Warriors now, they just continue to roll. They are 11-2 in their last 13 games.
Impressive, man. A couple injuries here to talk about. Brunson out for at least 2 weeks. You called this one, by the way, the other day when you saw it. And the Knicks lose to the Clippers 105-95 over the weekend. And they could, looking like Steph Curry again, 30 points per game, almost 70% true shooting. And they are just dominating the minutes when they get their death lineups out there. So tell me about it. Why is it that this team you believe is not just a good story, late season acquisition and a run, but a team that has the ability to upset an Oklahoma City, an LA, a Denver?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is when you get into these series, you always hear, people talking about the game. That was the best player in that series. That's why a team moved on. And Golden State absolutely knows who their best player is, and they know he can be the best player in every single series he's in. And every guy that's in that mold, they have a formula. Jokic's formula is different than Curry's formula, different than Doncic, different than LeBron, than KD, all these guys. And Golden State knows Curry's formula. And we've seen it over and over again. And what they were missing without Jimmy, they were missing this Iguodala-esque player who's rugged, can switchable on defense, can help hide Curry, is able to cut and reads when Curry draws gravity off of Green and Curry get actions and these things. So they were missing this little element to their formula that unlocks everything and really makes the machine run and amplifies Curry's special ability and is also amplified by his special ability. And so to me, the addition of Jimmy Butler is that extra. If Andre's the original, then Jimmy's the remix. And it gives them this formula that they've always had success with, and they know how to scheme with this archetype of player on the court with Green and Curry and all these guys. So to me, that's the first jumping off point where you think this group has a chance because they know exactly what they're going to do. And Jimmy's cut from a championship caliber cloth. Like, he dragged Miami to the finals twice in the bubble and then against Denver in 2023. So I think that they're a group, when you get into a series, they're going to know exactly what they're looking for, and they're going to know how to hide their warts as well.
You just mentioned him, and just as you were talking, I hadn't thought about this, but Jimmy, obviously, Iguodala is a good comp. Very smart, can guard anybody, knows how to pass and play make and connect and read the court. But he also has a little bit of Andrew Wiggins in him in a way that Iguodala didn't, and just that he can be a guy you throw the ball to. Like, Iguodala wasn't doing a ton of post-ups at his heyday in the depth lineups or this or that. And Jimmy does give you that option. So it's almost like he checks the boxes of two molds that we know work for that Warriors team and gives you both of those in one.
Yeah, and I love, one of the things that I love so much when you get into playoff basketball is how we were just talking about with the Thunder. How do you bring two to the ball? And where can you bring two to the ball, and what space is left over? And more so than all of that is who's making the decisions after you get this advantage. And to me, you're going to have these moments where Curry, for the whole year, and it plays out in the playoffs as well, he always leads the league in average distance a ball screen is set away from the hoop, because he has such a gravity and pull to him from his shooting and then also having the basketball. So right now he's leading the league at 29 feet away per pick and roll, and that's average. That's not just like deep one, so that's everything. And he's also fourth in the league in blitz percentage at 12%. So every single time he's running a pick and roll, it's so far away from the court. And then 1 out of 10 times or more, you're bringing two to the ball, and it's Draymond Green making decisions. It's Jimmy Butler making decisions. And I love the complementary pieces they have around him with Moody and Podziemski of decision-making on the offensive end. And then on the defensive end, you've really seen this growth from Moses Moody, where he gets out there He's an on-ball demon. He's willing to pick up full court. He has these long condor arms. He's covering up passing lanes. And to have all these guys out on the court with Curry where they can be amplified by his shooting, by his gravity, but they can also cover up for him on the defensive end, playing in gaps, pre-switching actions to keep him out of it. All that stuff just adds up to really, really tough things for another team to try to isolate the Warriors' weaknesses, and then really simple actions for them to get into their strengths and put you in bad situations, rotations, and wide open shots given up. So I love the formula they have around Steph. They know it works, and I think they've actually tweaked it to the precise one they had pre-Kevin Durant. I think that's what Warriors team we're looking at.
Oh, wow. That's better even than the 2022 team then, I would say, because the 2022 team almost, they were good enough to get it done, and they had Steph Curry have his best playoff run, but even that was a team that had, it seemed, more flaws than the 2015 team. So you're almost liking them more to the 2015 team in that way.
They can be pre or post Kevin Durant. I think the Kevin Durant era is just it just stands on its own. Like they were a totally different beast. They were a different animal. They were something the league hadn't seen, and I don't think you can ever compare another Warriors team in their formula to that, because they won't get that. So I think this formula is the pre and post Kevin Durant formula, and it's something that works for them, and they know they can go to and what works.
Well, we were just talking about the Thunder and who is the short roll guy who is making the decisions 4-on-3. Draymond Green. I mean, an underrated part about the Warriors is that Draymond Green is as good as anyone, maybe not named Jokic, at doing that, like receiving that pass and now knowing where to go. And he does it without the benefit of his own individual touch, around the basket or anything. But Jimmy Butler's also phenomenal at it. In fact, it's one of the things he's so good at is making those types of decisions of just reading where's the compromise at, I'm going to attack it and make the play. So that's another part of this is you have two guys now that if the ball finds an advantage, they're going to know what to do. And nobody, maybe outside of Jokic, but maybe not even him, creates that advantage more than Steph, because Jokic has to touch the ball. Steph doesn't even have to touch the ball to create that advantage. Yeah. And so you're going to have two guys that are going to constantly be put in position to do something that they're uniquely talented at doing.
Yeah. I don't think there are a lot of teams, like if Oklahoma City or the Lakers or Denver get into a series against Memphis or Houston, I think they're going to be able to solve those problems and present other ones. I don't think they're going to be pushed to the limit or they could lose. But any of those teams get into a series against Golden State, like you can absolutely lose to Steph Curry. Those guys aren't, you can lose to Jimmy Butler. Like those guys aren't, they know exactly what they're doing. They have a lot of playoff wins under their belts. They have championships for all those Warriors guys. They know what they're doing. They're not going to be scared of any moment. So I think this team is just, out of the puncher's chance contenders for me, this team is a cut above all the other ones. They're kind of in this in-between category of their own. And I think the Jimmy Butler acquisition is so underrated. I don't know if this matters. I don't know if they talked about it before, but this is something that, as somebody who's played on a lot of competitive teams, I always think about as like, what are the relationships? What's the mentor-mentee vibes like? Jimmy Butler played with Mike Dunleavy in Chicago. Like they have a real rapport and relationship. So all these problems that he's had, and Jimmy will be Jimmy, and I'm sure it will end not well at some point. But right now, but right now, like they know each other on a real personal, deep level. And